that will speak about what we're speaking about today,
Right, right.
living will.
Hmm.
And so they have no, medicine has changed so much, it's
It
not
really
that
has.
relationship, that old time medical care.
Hmm.
When I'm practicing medicine myself, making house calls, knowing the family, knowing the family members, it was a much different thing, you know. So people called upon me to be present when they're making a will and things like this, you see. So I think that the folks who generally don't have a private physician today, they're using the emergency room
Right.
as their doctors and things like this.
Hmm.
So they're not getting the information from these kind of things. And so I think a program like this will only bring out that they should choose, even the doctor that they're seeing, they should tell them what they want, you know, so that doctor, in other words, can advise them maybe we need a living will.
Sure. But another quick thing, and just quickly too, I think is really important to note, is that the living will is one of those documents within medical institutions that moves around just as much as any other document.
Right.
Because with the living will as well as a healthcare proxy, that is actually made a part of a patient's chart. People aren't aware of that. So you indicated that you have physicians that aren't really aware of the living will, but that living will is one of those important pieces of documentation
Sure.
that actually circulates with the patient. So it is something that folks should become more aware of, and I know Vincent was going to say
Yes.
a few things as well.
Right. I think living will and planning again. It's not only limited to the lawyers or the doctors, but I think it's a evolvement that the individual should think about together with the family. It's something to really to have in place, whether as part of the medical records, as part of the legal records, or as part of the really. Or the other component of that is you don't have to have a piece of paper. You could really talk to your spouse, talk to your children, and see what they want. And only then, and once you're only 100% comfortable, then you could put it on paper. It's not something that you should, for the sake of having to make the decision abruptly, but something that you should think about as part of the planning process.
So that piece of paper, I would imagine, should be put in a safe place too, like a safe deposit box, rather than floating around in folders also.
Right,
You know, because that's so important. Because I just recently, we had to open a safe deposit box of a relative, and that took so much just to open the safe deposit box. And of course, there are certain papers in there that were very important to tell what that patient wanted.
Right. I think that's a very good point. I think all these documents that may impact the decision making at that time should be made known to your doctors, your lawyer, your family members, so that when the time comes to rely on those documents, you have access to them. We have had cases where exactly what you have described. There were documents in a safe deposit box that we were not able to access until the individual expired, and then we had to get the court order to open the documents, and that could cause an issue. That's a very good point. So we recommend that if a living will is in place, perhaps a couple of copies are made and given to the hospital, to the doctors, or to the lawyers and to the family members, so that there is enough comfort in knowing that that document exists.
You know, we do a lot of transplant surgery here in kidneys and liver, pancreas and things like that. And it's so important if that person also in this document, even a living will, would say that I want my organs to be used or given to those who need it if upon dying suddenly.
If like that is very important.
Sure.
I think that if that is such a wish, we also include that in the living will, a statement indicating that it is my wish that the organs be donated, and we strongly recommend our clients who make those decisions to sign the back of the driver's license. Amir and I recently had a client with the exact same case. In that case, you have a young individual without a spouse, without a child or children, that had these documents in place, and we are seeing a lot of that now, where young people, in addition to the old people, thinking about and addressing these issues and making these documents available to them and in place.
Right. Mr. Robinson, maybe you could just summarize a bit, because time is our enemy here on this show, and I want the folks to really get the idea between you and Mr. Wong.
Mm-hmm.
Just summarize now what folks should be considering with
Well,
the living will.
Well, basically, with the living will, again, I mean, just to rephrase or to just summarize, what the living will does is it gives you the ability to make a decision about your health care. It gives you the ability to basically document it along with the healthcare proxy, where you can appoint an individual, who will make the healthcare decisions for you in your disability to actually make the decision for yourself, along with perhaps the general will as well. As we indicated, it basically it's something that not only an older person should consider, but it's something that also younger folks should consider as well. And it's not really that complicated. It just requires, as Vincent indicated, that you come together with your family members, with your healthcare provider, and just really sit down and really flesh out what you want.
Right.
And as a result of that, what you can do is you can craft this document that could be very valuable, that can actually alleviate a tremendous amount, of conflict, litigation, financial burden, so forth and so on. It's a very simple thing to do. It's very cost effective. Folks, again, Vincent indicated that they think that it costs in the thousands of dollars. It doesn't. It's just a few $100s. And just like you indicated, you can spend that small amount of money to have peace of mind.
Yeah, because it's really a very small amount of money when you consider how much folks have today, properties and things like
sure,
this.
Absolutely.
It's so terrible when they get to that end, and the government takes it all.
Sure.
Because it's a big conflict.
Oh, absolutely.
So the government says, I'll take it from you.
Right.
So then you go about your business. Mr. Wong.
Well, I believe so. I think, again, it's about planning. It's about having a document in place that really provide and really documents your wishes, your intentions, your desires, in the event that you cannot make those decisions. It is critical to have a document, we believe, from a legal perspective, because we've seen the outcome of not having such a document. And we believe with a modest cost, individuals are able to implement the arrangement that really gives them a self-determination and planning and peace of mind.
Well, it's so nice having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick.
Sure. And to you folks out there, we hope you live a long time. Well, there's going to be a time when you're going to have to meet the Maker. And when you meet the Maker, you want to leave something back here, a document to say exactly how you want to be treated, whether you want to be on artificial respiration, what have you. So this is Dr. Dees, hoping that you all will think now of a living will as you live longer. See you the next time.